Family, another beautiful day, loving it. Cold, it's cold. Today it's like 33 degrees. It's cold, but anyway, I'm above ground and loving it. Giving thanks and praises and gratitude for a roof over my head, clothes to wear, food to eat, and the bed lying. Giving thanks and praise for, because I don't take shit for granted. Anyway, this clip here showed that the so-called the so-called Chinese Americans realizing that our sweat, blood, and tears is what have them in the position that they're in. They actually admit it now that our sweat, blood, and tears will actually have them in the position that they're in now. Anyway, folks, check it out, the video. Until then, be kind and loving, and humble, respectful, gratitude, subscribe, thumbs up, share, leave a comment.
Latino, African American, Asian, and other communities realize that they share the same oppressor is the day we start winning. But the problem is our communities are divided. For Asian Americans and for African Americans, we probably have one of the worst relationships between any community.
Well, I bet you a lot of Asian Americans too don't, in my experience, don't even realize that if it wasn't for the civil rights movement, there would not be 22 million Asian Americans in this country.
Thank you. What I have been trying to teach the Asian community is like, friends, do you understand that your success, your prosperity, your civil rights that you enjoy right now was paid for with black blood? I always tell people the day the Latino, African American, Asian, and other communities realize that they share the same oppressor is the day we start winning. But the problem is our communities are divided. For Asian Americans and for African Americans, we probably have one of the worst relationships between any community.
Well, I bet you a lot of Asian Americans too don't, in my experience, don't even realize that if it wasn't for the civil rights movement, there would not be 22 million Asian Americans in this country.
Thank you. What I have been trying to teach the Asian community is like, friends, do you understand that your success, your prosperity,
I am piggybacking off this guy here. Off him.
Right now,
I'm piggybacking off him.
With black blood.
No, we're good. We are good. No, I'm speaking for Black American experience. Every time we have tried to band with everyone, literally, the whites come in and offer you all something and you leave us in the dust. We tried it. Our own people sold this out. Let's start there.
True that. True that.
I don't even know that because I feel like it went by tribe. It was a war, but let's not even start there. Let's just say our own people sold us out, right?
True that.
Arabs conquered North Africa. The Spanish slave trade, which they had black people in. Then, when you look at the Native Americans, the 5 civilized tribes, most of them sold the blacks back to the whites because the blacks couldn't afford to prove that they were Native Americans. Every time we have tried to band with someone, y'all fuck us over. Figure it out your fucking self. I am not a racist person. I love everybody. But when it comes to success, I'm only worried about the Black American community. Right?
True that.
Due to the fact of, if it was vice versa, everybody else would think of themselves.
Yep.
So we're starting to get the mindset you all have. And quite honestly, this is just my opinion. I hope this doesn't come off racist or, funny.
Who gives a shit?
Asians. They're more slicker and narcissistic than white people. They're smart. Watch them. Even though they're cool, though. Watch them. This is why I'm going to say I don't try to throw it in anybody else's face. But if you are not Black American, and I'm talking about descendant of the slave trade Black American, and even if you have the same skin color, and if you're from somewhere else, the civil rights movement and us not wanting to be slaves anymore and actually telling them we're not going to do the work, literally brought you all in. We literally are the reason why everyone came in here. If we were good slaves and we actually did what the white man told us to do, none of y'all would be here, honestly. And that's real tea. They only started letting everybody in because we started to fight back.
I always tell people the day the Latino, African American, Asian, and other communities realize that they share the same oppressor is the day we start winning. But the problem is our communities are divided. For Asian Americans and for African Americans, we probably have one of the worst relationships between any community.
Well, I bet you a lot of Asian Americans too don't, in my experience.
Thank you. What I have been trying to teach the Asian community is like food right now was paid for with black blood.
Listen, if you don't use Black people and exploit them for your own cause, you won't get anywhere. So you gotta hop on a Black movement, Black protest, and you'll help for a little bit, and then start your movement. And then align with our so-called common enemy, then turn the blame on us black people for the harm in your community, and then get a bill passed, leaving us with nothing.
In the
And
dark.
All we gotta do is blame us some more and say we're the reason that y'all aren't getting into colleges at a better rate, because apparently we were only getting in from affirmative action, so y'all had that overturned. The key is saying that we all have a common enemy and that we're so alike in our oppression, because you realize that the rights that you have are from black people. And don't mention the reason for the rift of black people and everyone else. Make it seem like it's a mutual thing, and we did something to you and you did something to us. Don't mention the fact that you come into our neighborhoods, take our money, and commit violence against us. Present it as if it's both of our faults, and just wash and repeat, because black people are going to fall for it every time, because they want that unity with other races and not themselves.
Because we're more loving and kind and giving and forgetful.
That sounds like you're appreciative of what black people have done, so that black people will feel good and acknowledged. Continue to use.
Because we are more loving and kind and giving and forgetful and forgiving. Other races are not. That's the way we are the way we are. We are too forgiving. We are too forgiving. And they are not. They don't give a shit about anybody else by themselves.
Black people for what you want. Ignore the fact that you're one of our oppressors and have always been. All you gotta do is stroke black people's egos. Let us start our movement and then pretend to go along with it, and then overshadow the movement. Focus on your own movement and leave us in the dust where we were. Use our longing for POC unity against us. Get where you need to go.
So there's a video floating around TikTok where there's an Asian American man that's basically saying that he is having conversations with Asians and addressing their anti-blackness and talking about how black people, specifically African Americans in the United States, are the reason why Asians were allowed to immigrate to the United States. And Asians often forget that. Now, the point of the video is him saying that he's having conversations amongst Asians, because Asians need to understand and unpack their anti-blackness. That's what I'm talking about. It's that right there. Instead of you talking at black people, African Americans more specifically, you need to have conversations within your own communities and unpack your anti-blackness before you come talk to us. Because a lot of y'all want to skip that step. You want to skip the work that you need to do in your community. You want to skip those conversations that directly put a lot of your family members in the crosshairs and their problematic behavior that they have displayed for so many years in the crosshair. That's what I'm talking about when I say you guys need to talk amongst yourselves and then come back and talk to us when you have done the work within your communities to unpack your anti-blackness. Because a lot of y'all, again, I'm not trying to do that, you are still trying to just come to black people and talk at us about what we have been saying when we are demanding respect, and we are done with the disrespect. You're going to have to do the work this time. You are going to have to do the hard lifting and work on your own until you actually do the work to address what's going on in your community and why y'all are so anti-black. Why the first thing y'all did was jump in a pile-on of anti-blackness with white leftists because we were telling you guys that we were going to vote for our safety in this country and security in this country. And if we're not safe and secure here, we cannot assist people abroad. We cannot advocate for people abroad. You heard all of that, and you still jump to anti-blackness. So if you haven't seen that video floating around your FYP, if you are non-black, you need to watch that video where he's basically saying that all non-black communities need to go and have conversations, hard conversations amongst themselves and unpack that conditioning of anti-blackness. And then when you have done the work, the actual work, then you come to the table. And then maybe we can unify and actually dismantle these systems of oppression. BIPOC unity is not going to exist if you're not doing that. Period.
But the problem is our community is hard to fight.
I bet you a lot of Asian Americans too don't.
Americans are only seen when we're beneficial to others. He said because of the civil rights movement, that's why 20 plus Asian people are here. But who was the sacrificial lamb during that civil rights movement? What other minority group was in the trenches with black Americans while that was happening? Okay, and then on top of that, affirmative action, you know who benefited from that, even though it was meant for black Americans and other marginalized groups? White women. And you see how they voted this past election. Other than that, if they're not benefiting from black American people or black American culture, they look at black American people as less than. That's why they're always thriving and reaching for white proximity. This also applies to all the blacks that's not black American. They think they better than black Americans, but they're always cosplaying and benefiting from black American culture. And these people are so disingenuous because they're only talking like this because of Trump talking about mass deporting Asians, Hispanics, Latinos, non-American citizens. That's the only reason this conversation came up, and that's why this is so disingenuous. It's funny now that they targeted, they want to give black Americans credit. How come they say...
Not all non-black Americans are like that, my brother. Because I came here in America, I worked 40 years straight. I worked 40 years straight until the pandemic hit. And then we got paid out. A lot of West Indians come here and do a lot of jobs that black Americans didn't want to do. A lot of West Indians came here and do work as maids for the Jewish people, do house cleaning, all such like that. A lot of Americans didn't want to do. So don't say that we benefit off you guys. No, we came and do a lot of work that you guys didn't want to do to make ourselves better. So don't get twisted, brother. Okay, that's my take on that. That's my take on that. I'm West Indian. I'm proud of it.
That conversation happened 10 years ago, 11 years ago. The civil rights movement took place 60 years ago, and you're now just talking about it? In a sense, we're talking about this oppressor, this colonizer, the man. It's funny because he will hire a black American before the Asian man will, before the Arab man will. Matter of fact, they'll come into your community, your black community, take all your money, but they won't give you a chance. And then they judge you worse than the oppressor. Let one black American person do something wrong, then they label the whole community that way. That's the same tactics the white man used. Right? So the problem isn't division, the problem is respect. Y'all view black Americans as less than, and we're not having it. If we don't accept that type of treatment from the white man, what makes you think that we're going to accept it from these middle groups? Are y'all that delusional? It's always good to show gratitude, but what does that translate into without respect? Genie in a bottle?
What I have been trying to teach the Asian community is like friends.
Black towards black people in America. I mean, it's not that hard. All you have to do is have a little meeting with your said race and tell them to stop being anti-black towards black people. Like, are we serious right now? Like, everybody starts with us. And then when we as a whole clap back at everybody, white people, Asian people, don't matter. Now it's all about, like, that's not how that works. We were brought here literally against our own will. In the Americas, in the Caribbean, in Canada, Mexico, we were brought here against our will, right? The majority of other races chose to come here. The majority, yes, I'm aware that some Asians were enslaved and brought here to work on the railroads in the West. I get that. But outside of that, the vast majority of y'all chose to come here. So stop with this whole, we on the same boat, we all equal, we all equally go through the same thing. No, we do not. No, we do not. And that's no hate towards the Asian community. I love my Asian folks down. But stop the nonsense. Work on your community and tell them to stop being anti-black to us. When you guys own your little corner stores and this, that, and the third, when you guys are owning your businesses and you see dark-skinned black folks, light-skinned black folks in general, whether they have cornrows, dreadlocks, whatever the case may be, walk into your establishments, okay? And you guys get a little bit of anxiety because we're wearing a shiesty or we're wearing a durag. Maybe you need to work on your internalized anti-blackness before you sit here and worry about how we react to it, respectfully.
True that.
Then maybe, just maybe, we can work together and fight this big old oppressor of ours, right?
Because there's nothing supreme about white supremacy. In order to be supreme, you gotta be better than everybody. When people only hand you things because of your whiteness, you ain't supreme. It really should be called white mediocrity.
True that.
White mediocre. When a group of people feel like they have to push others down or push others back in order to feel better about themselves, ain't that supreme about that, baby. But you know what is supreme? when you are in white male-dominated spaces and still rise to the top. When nobody before you looks like you, but you still rise to the top. When you look to your left and your right and you don't see no sister locks, but you still rise to the top. Oh, baby, that's supreme. How about when you dominate in the whiteness of television? When you influence generations of kids to go to school in a space that was never meant for you to dominate? You push forward the culture and show everybody that we are not a monolith. Or how about when you're the first and you do it better than anybody could ever do, but they take your whole swag and try to play you out like you never existed? When you can reign supreme in a white male-driven society, produce the next generation of comedy, and blaze a trail that others before you could only imagine, that's when we'll call you supreme. When what you think is supreme about you stops being what is actually supreme about us, that'll be the day we stop calling you mediocre at best. See, look, a page full of white mediocrity. There is no such thing as a DEI hire. We have to work hard for everything we get. This is what it looks like when you don't have to work hard.
So that
Mediocre at best.
Hello, folks. Hello, fam. How are you?
family, you guys already know, black folks have to work twice as hard to get what they want, get what they have. They have to do twice as hard to get what they have. Work harder, work smarter. Don't forget, we invent everything. We invented iron board, the iron, the stoplight, the combustion chamber in the car, the water sprinkler, the air conditioner for the trucks that goes back and forth. We invent everything to make our job easier. Okay? So, folks, without us, nothing is going to work. Like I said before, if the so-called aliens take all the black folks off the planet will cease to exist. It will get ceased to exist because they need our energy. We don't need yours. One of them folks, be loving and kind and caring. Don't get caught up with the racism. Just love people, but love those that love you. Don't be stupid to love me now. One of them folks, be loving and kind. Share, like, comment. I'm out here. Peace out. Lots of love. Lots of love.